emptiness shattered like ice, and through each crack rushed the tumultant mass, carving their place in existence with the desperate ferocity that attends every fight for life. Even the stars themselves began to vanish behind the tangle of grasping limbs and screaming mouths. Yet there was no predator but the one that lurked in the shadow of each newborn mind.
Do not leave me, my tight tethers. I do so. Grip of the infinite. Oh, my favorite. Entertain me. Tight tethers. Another challenger? Shadow, right spectacle.
I need
Such
more
a
mana.
dark glow. I want more like a note of my might. A riveting battle.
Your distraction. Be no more.
What a mysterious
No!
presence.
Impossible! How? This isn't over.
The spheres. Be gone.
I need more mana.
Hurry. Stand still. I've been hurt. Put on a good show.
I need more
Resist
mana.
the assault. Another challenger. Another challenger. Feel death's pull. Shadow, rise and fight. Until next time. Worthy of my attention.
Hey guys, POE Noob here. Quick update about my Heat Shiver Tendrils Elementalist. I'm now at level 97, named Off Meta Let's Go. So feel free to check my ninja profile. So you can just filter by Lightning Tendrils and Elementalist, and I'm at the second place. As you can see from the recordings, this build can map extremely fast and deals insane single target damage, and also decent defense, though not S tier. Please check my last video about why the new Tendrils is so strong and doubles the damage of the old Tendrils by exploiting the stronger pulse always crit mechanism and phantasmal quality. I personally feel the Heat Shiver and Marilyn's Fallacy is the best route for the new Tendrils. I checked the POB of other Tendrils builds on POE Ninja and didn't find one that is competitive to my build with regard to DPS, defense, and budget. Now I invested around 45 divines into this build, but around 30 divines are invested into the Explode Flask for map clearing and Progenesis for defense, which is not mandatory for this build to work, and most of other gears are cheap uniques. I made a budget version POB where you only need under 10 divines to have around 37 million DPS, good mapping, and okay-ish defense. I will go through that POB later. Now let's look at some key points to make this build actually feels awesome. So first point, Carcass Jack gives 50% increased AoE, which combines with our Ascendancy, which gives 60% increased AoE, makes the clearing really good. You can see the AoE has pretty good coverage. From here all the way here, almost half of the screen. The AoE also helps with the explosions, either from the Explode Flask or from Herald of Ice or Herald of Ash. Also the life, resistance, and evasion ES from the Carcass Jack fits our build perfectly. You can easily find +2 AoE gem as the implicit, which gives around 20% more damage. Optionally, you can use Lightning Coil to mitigate the physical damage since we have no armor in our build. Second point, Lightning Warp setup, supported by less duration support, Swift Affliction to even reduce the duration, and Life Tap. Since we don't have high movement speed, but we have high cast speed, so using Lightning Warp to skyrocket our mapping speed. Third point, Immortal Flesh. We need this because we are low life build with Petrified Blood, which really need life regen to make it feel good. And this build gives around 400 life regen and 170 life, and the mana regen also helps sustain our mana. And also the Catalyst can augment both life regen and the mana, which is pretty nice. Point 4, exposure. So from our Ascendancy, the exposure you inflict applies an extra minus 25% resistance, which is a lot, so we need to make use of it. Because all our lightning damage are converted to cold. And then more than 100% of the cold damage adds extra fire. So where do we find the cold and fire exposure? The fire exposure can be found on the gloves, and the cold exposure can be found on the cold mastery. Point 5, Crucible Tree. This league Crucible skills are insane. Remember we got 288% crit multi from our amulet? Well, now we can get an extra up to 60% crit multi from this node, while we can totally ignore the downside. And also 10% chance to deal double damage if strength is below 100 is great. We don't need really high levels for our red gems, so we can just keep our strength around 95. And most importantly, this node, 10% chance to scorch enemies instead of ignite. So ignite does nothing to our build, but the scorch can lower element resistance by up to 30%, which means 20 to 30% more damage. So this node is a must to have. Also, the shield tree has pretty good nodes. First of all, this node adds 80 to maximum life, while only reduced 20% damage, which can be ignored. And this one also gives 27% chaos resistance and a little bit reduced life. And we can also get the 10% deal double damage node here. And most importantly, you can get 100% chance to avoid being shocked. And this combined with the Storm Shroud, which is here. So modifiers to chance to avoid shocks apply to all elemental elements. So this too will give you elements immune. So that's all for the highlighted parts about this build. Now let's go to the POB. So this is my POB, and you can see the DPS is 70 million, while the defense layer we have 1.3k ES. We have evasion, block chance, spell suppression, capped auras and capped chaos, and elemental element immune, and also corrupted blood immune from the jewel. And most importantly, our stronger pulse hits just so hard that it freezes anything that can be frozen and can fully chill uber bosses. So that's the best defense layer, which is not reflected on the POB. So this is just the average hit, and it's already 6 million. So you can imagine how hard the stronger pulse will hit. It can be probably 15 to 20 million as the hit damage. I also made a budget POB where you only need under 10 divines and get around 37 million DPS and okay-ish defense. You have 4.7k life, evasion, spell suppression, and high chaos resistance, and also the ability to freeze and chill enemies. So I listed all the budget here for the gears, and most are pretty cheap, and the most expensive ones I think is the Carcass Jack with the +2 AoE gem implicit. You will need to 6-link it, so that will be around 2 divines in total. And then for gems, the Phantasmal Lightning Tendrils with 20 level is just 20 or 20C I think, and Awaken gem is around 30C, and you can level it up by yourself. And then most expensive one is the Enlightened 3, which is 1.3 divs. So adding them all together, I think it should be just around I don't know, maybe 7 to 10 divines, and you can get all of this. And actually, if you are rich, this build can go even crazier with Mage Blood and reach probably 300 million DPS. So this is the endgame POB for it, and the DPS is already 218 million, but this is without the Crucible Tree, which can give probably 50% more DPS. It uses Mage Blood with the triple damage staff and Righteous Fire. Okay, so that's it for this build. I put the budget POB, my POB, and endgame POB in the description. But if you are an off-meta build enjoyer, you can definitely try this out. For the rest of this video, I will leave you with a recording of map clearing without Explode Flask, but just Herald of Ice and Herald of Ash. Please like this video and subscribe this channel if you find it helpful, and see you next time.